What's up, guys? It's me, Tiki Tiki Tembo no Sarembo, Polly Raleigh Rucci, Pip Perry Pembo. Do you remember that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's me, Chris Michael, with...
Shane Patrick Cruz.
And
What
welcome
is that?
back.
What is that?
Welcome back to another episode of the Slightly More podcast. So Tiki Tiki Tembo no Sarembo, Polly Raleigh Rucci, Pip Perry Pembo is a book about a kid who falls in a well, and his name is so long. So actually, I feel that this is going to be... in the modern age, a little less than acceptable, but it's a children's book, so let me just go into it. It's about how, like, Asian names, specifically in China, are very short, like Hun Lu, or we know Hun Wu,
Yeah.
you know, Li,
Yeah.
Shai, things
Okay.
like Kai.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because there was this boy named Tiki Tiki Tembo, no Sarembo, Polly Raleigh Rucci, Pip Perry Pembo, that fell in a well. And his brother, who was trying to save him, ran around town saying, help me, Tiki Tiki, Tiki Tembo, no Sarembo, Polly Raleigh. And they're like, what is going on? They're like, who? They're like, he's like, Tiki Tiki. And the kid dies because he can't get help.
That's super sad.
So, I don't know if that's really how it ends, but it's something like that. He doesn't
What
get
the
saved,
heck?
or he gets stuck in the well for too long, or something crazy like that. And so, ever since then, they have now decided, as a culture, to shorten their names. I don't think that's true, but that's the book that we used to read, and my teacher used to get so into it. Like, she'd be like, help me, and she'd run around the class and Tiki Tiki Tembo, and I was like, this book rocks. And now I'm like, there's a little bit of racial undertones there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
Also, we are filming in the Aloft West Richmond Hotel. Super nice hotel. Definitely stay here whenever I can because they're all over the world. Very modern.
Beautiful.
Beautiful hotel. So if you hear background sounds going on,
there's like a video of the Matrix on right now.
There really
It's
is.
not the actual Matrix. It's like a binary code artwork.
Yeah.
With
super weird.
acknowledging that we're in the middle of the lobby of the hotel here, just
Yeah.
know that there's going to be some background noise. There's really not much we can do to work that out, other than the fact that the microphone we're using should be pretty targeted towards just us. But if there's any
Yeah.
background noise, which will be minimal, just excuse it. Hopefully it doesn't blow your focus too much, because I want you guys to be able to focus on this topic. Here's one that we really want you guys to weigh in on, because it's all about, what do you call yourself? It's about, what do you label yourself as a performer? What's your title?
Yeah. Not what your name is, but what is your
Yeah.
title as a performer?
Right. And there's tons of different ones that we're going to dive into, but I think they all carry a little bit of weight. There's some that maybe you should avoid if you're in certain markets, some that we think people should gravitate towards, but unique is always better, and there's probably some we haven't even heard of. And if you don't hear us cover one, or we're probably not going to cover all the ones we know, but if you want to acknowledge one, definitely comment below and let us know what your title is.
Yeah, and also coming from two completely different backgrounds. You have literally kept the same moniker for the entire time that you performed, and I have changed.
Is that what it's called? I thought a
6
moniker was
times.
a name, like your name.
Okay, maybe I'm using the word wrong then. Try to sound super smart.
I thought, well, you could be right, but I think moniker is like a name. So like,
Is it?
Yeah, so like Chris Michael has not always been. I used to be called, and this again, we're not going into names, but just to mention, I used to be called Christian Michael, which my first name is Christian, and then people would be like, I'd be like, hi, I'm Christian Michael, and they'd be like, oh, so funny, I'm Catholic Mike, good to meet you. I'm like, okay. So I get called Mike a lot, even to this day. People call me Mike or Michael. But anyway, Shane has changed his performance title quite a bit, and I think he's narrowing it down and getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
Where do you sit with that now?
Two sides of it. So I started out doing theater shows,
Yeah.
and I just call myself a mentalist. And then when I started to get into the corporate market, I realized that the data showed, based on keyword search, and just in general, that most companies don't know what a mentalist is.
Yeah.
They do now because more of them do now because the show The Mentalist came out and was super popular.
Hold on, I will say though, if you're going to call yourself a mentalist, I would advise against that a little bit, just because on a daily basis almost do I have to explain what mentalism is in my contract, because it says, I think just from years ago, it says, I should probably fix this now that I think about it. It says magician, mentalist, hypnotist. I don't do the mentalist or hypnotist thing really that much anymore. People always go, Chris, we saw a mentalist. What is that? And I have to answer that all the time. To the fact where actually I have an automated email I send out now about it.
Yeah, which is exactly what I was getting ready to say. Most people don't know what a mentalist is. And so then I changed it to just mind reader. Actually, I changed it to magician for a while because I figured, well,
Yeah.
when I when I get them in, I'll just go, oh, I do stuff that's similar to magic. I'm similar to a magician. I do more magic of the mind. You've all heard that saying before.
Yeah, and we have an episode about why you shouldn't call yourself a magician if you're a hypnotist.
Right.
Or at least we discussed that.
Or
So,
you shouldn't do magic in your mind reading show.
right, and I think if you're a mentalist but you call yourself a magician, I feel that would work against you.
Yeah, but it was purely a business decision
Right.
on that because, and then I was like, well, I don't really want to do the magician route, and I was still thinking about getting into theater shows, and so I said, well, I guess I'll call myself just a mind reader.
Okay.
And I did that for a little while, but
I feel like that one would work really well.
wasn't really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't really getting anywhere. Then I started looking at I have this, I don't know whether it's an issue or just it's just the way I am. Like, I analyze the crap out of everything. I research everything. I read constantly. I'm like an information whore. Like, I am constantly like researching the craft of performing in business.
Yeah.
And so on that note, something I came across in regards to pay scale and its relation
Okay,
to
this is cool.
to what people are interested in hiring.
Yeah.
It starts out like balloon artists, right?
Uh-huh.
With a vest.
Not, and keep in mind, this is not the rule across the board
No,
that
no,
you
it's
can't
not.
transcend
It's
this.
just, for the most part, it's like this.
This is how you're going to be perceived and lumped into a group based on the general population. This is how they're going to arrange you.
So typically, it's like balloon artist, caricature artist, face painter, that sort of thing. They're at the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Above that is a magician.
Just a little above it.
A little above it. Above that is a mentalist or a mind reader, because unfortunately, magicians are seen mostly as kids show performers.
They're in that sphere of balloon artist almost,
Yeah,
you know? It's like,
even though there's tons of magicians that are not that way at all. So
a lot of time you don't see a magician on a main stage. You're going to see a magician at a booth during the
Right,
festival. He'll have
yeah.
his own booth next to the balloon twister.
Yeah.
And that's not because of the magician's fault. That's just because that's where the festival puts him, because they don't assume his value is high enough to be on the main
Yeah.
stage, which is something we as a whole should work to fix that, because we can blow
Absolutely.
some minds.
Absolutely.
You can emotionally hit people better than some musicians. But anyway.
Yeah, complete side note for the magicians out there. One of the things that you should strive for is to get rid of the idea that magicians are just stupid kid show magicians. So when you're going out there performing, make sure you're crushing it out there to show
Yeah.
them that the magicians are actually should be in a higher regard.
And I'll add one sentence on this, and we'll get back to the main topic.
Yeah.
There's actually a way to do this that comes from Dave D. He's a mentalist and a corporate speaker now, but when he was doing kid shows, he would always mention, hey, actually, kids, I want to show you guys something that I learned the other day. And he's like, I can't remember where I was. Oh, I was performing for Mercedes-Benz. That's right. And he will say that just for the parents. The parents go,
Yep.
whoa, he performs for Mercedes-Benz. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me pay attention to this one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you do that in your show where you say, I was just at Capital One last week. And
yeah, or what? I should
Yeah.
probably switch that, because not that Capital One's not prestigious, but I've definitely been in some more prestigious places since then.
Yeah.
And but Capital One is, I'm there a lot. I'm actually I just today talked to someone from Capital One, so I'm there all the time.
So complete side note. So back to it. So magician and then mentalist. Above that, believe it or not, psychic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Psychic is regarded as a higher
Status?
that's the word I was looking for. A higher status as a mind reader or a magician, obviously, because there are so many people out there that actually, really, truly believe that is a real thing. Fortune tellers and psychics are actually above mind reading.
Right.
Above that, speakers.
Right.
So speakers get paid the most. They're in the highest regard. They're the most respected.
They kind of start, like a magician can start literally at $100. Corporate speaker usually starts at like $5,000.
Yeah.
So.
And then up from there, speakers are, psychics can get, corporate, you're probably around 2,500 starting out, 15 to 2,500 starting out, just
psychic?
starting out. No, and then psychic, you're probably a little more than that. And then speakers, you're 5, 10, 20,000,
Yeah,
30,000.
100,000 in a case that we know.
Yeah, and not to say that there aren't magicians out there that are doing bigger numbers or doing those same kind of numbers.
Right.
Because there are. But so the reason I said all that was when I got to thinking about it some more, and I knew that I wanted to go into the corporate market. I have spoken a lot in the past on entrepreneurship and spoken to schools and that sort of thing. So it's something I'm comfortable with and something I want to do more of. And so when I think about it from strictly a performance side of things performance in relation to business,
Right.
now it is I am a keynote speaker and corporate mind reader. Right, so that's how I explain who I am now, because that is the most widely accepted, right? But keynote speaker is first and foremost for me, and then right up under that or attached to that is corporate mind reader. That is something that I just recently started doing. I've even got a project in the works now. I had a website, I took it down, I'm rebuilding it, sort of, in order to move forward, and I actually have mentalist in the title, but it's on purpose.
Right.
But still, the moniker and the keywording and all of that is keynote speaker, corporate mind reader. The flip side of that is the theatrical, because for me, I wanted to have a differentiator between two worlds. The world of corporate performing and speaking and the world of theatrical entertainment, right? Because I still love doing theatrical shows, theater shows. It's something that I would love to continue to do somehow in the future. And so I wanted a differentiator between the two worlds.
And
so
something I think that is important to know in both worlds, theatrical and in a service provider type of situation, being the best case scenario is being category of one. I mean, think about the people who are super popular, or like just increase your amount of interest from their name. Like you could say, you ever heard of the Lizard Man?
Yeah.
Like, the what? Instead of being like, you ever heard of those crazy like tattoo show guys? Like that's like being category of one is the best case scenario, and you can create a category of one for yourself. But here's the thing with that: you're not going to be able to hold that category of one forever, because even the Lizard Man, when trying to do events, people will say, "Well, what do you do? What is your show?" And then essentially they want to know, what category are you in? Like sideshow, which it would be sideshow at that point.
Right.
But to say sideshow performer, again, that value goes much lower than saying the Lizard Man.
Yeah.
So I think that
he's creating celebrity for himself.
Exactly.
Around that name.
Yeah, and even if you create a category of one, you're going to need a category that you can lump yourself into, or a title that you can use for people who may not accept that as their first answer. I know I dove in there, but I don't want people to glaze over or cover their ears just because we're talking about theater or corporate. This applies to, I think, both arenas here.
Yeah. And so from the theatrical side of things, I actually ended up using the term modern mystic.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Because
and if you put the modern mystic, that's a category of one right there.
Right. So I've thought a lot about this. Fortune teller almost sounds like a gypsy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then fortune tellers, when you talk about the hierarchy of payment, fortune tellers are like the $100 an hour,
right,
at events, right? They still get hired out for corporate events, but they get hired out at $100 an hour, and they're off to the side.
Guy,
yeah, they're just not held to a high regard. So it's like, maybe I don't really want to call myself a fortune teller. And it's like, maybe I will call myself a psychic, but then you run the risk calling yourself a psychic of just constant backlash from people, because there will be the ones that really believe you. Because if you call yourself a psychic,
right,
then you have to fully lean into that, right?
Right.
You can't just say, I'm a psychic on stage and I'm not a psychic off stage.
Well, polarizing is good. Polarizing is good.
Right. Unless you come to it from the angle of, when you get on stage saying, much like Darren Brown, like, have any of you ever been to a psychic? Any of you ever wondered what it would be like to talk to a psychic? Well, this is your chance tonight. I'm going to show you what it would look like.
Yeah.
In that situation,
right,
if you were actually able to meet a real psychic, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
So if you come to it from that angle, then yeah. But I came to the conclusion that this is just going to be too far-fetched. I mean, this is going to be too much of a hassle.
Where are you at now?
So now it's the modern mystic on the
Oh yeah,
theatrical side
I
of
love
things
that.
because it's very vague. It's mysterious.
Yeah,
It's I can cover my show now is more leaned into like showing the power of the mind and like it has fortune telling and psychic aspects, but it's um, but under the context of mind power.
yeah,
So that's kind of my journey as far as what
right.
I've called myself.
And I want to, I
I
want to,
even have a completely different name for my stage show. This is not something I'm doing now because I'm not doing stage shows right
right.
now. But I have a completely different stage name for my stage shows as well.
Yeah,
And I've performed under it a couple times before. To the fact that I went back to the open mic when I started doing that.
yeah,
I performed under my stage name,
yeah.
and then when I went back, they were like, "This is Darby," and I'm like, "Wait, who? Who's that?
Oh
Who's?" I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh crap, that's me."
It's
Like,
like when I
so,
first switched to Chris Michael. But anyway,
yeah.
I want to dive into a couple
Sorry,
of
I
those
went like
things. No, man,
little off.
totally good. I'm going to dive into some things that you said. First, I want to come around to just talk about my journey with it. And
Yeah.
I even agreed with you when you said this because I didn't catch that this was not true. I've not used the same title this whole time. I've recently switched. For a long time, I used comedy magician, and I know there's a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, why would you use something so basic?" I have a huge reason as to why that is. It was a very strong business tactic of mine, which I'll get into in a second. I now am using something a little bit different that is way more strategic and allows me to be way more profitable, and I'll get into that. So, starting with comedy magician, I really worked the circuit of finding people who are looking for comedians, and then a lot of people who are looking for comedians don't even think about having a magician.
Yeah.
Whereas people who are looking for magic shows will consider a comedy magician. It's something that they know, oh, that's a short leap.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say, hey, not only can it get people laughing and get your laughs per minute at higher than you've ever seen, get them rolling on the floor, but also we can mix that into a high intensity magic show to just build up on the suspense and engagement that you can have with your audience. And people go, whoa, all I was looking for was a comedy show, but this sounds insane. Like that's getting them to think bigger. So
Yeah.
it's built in. If I approached them with just magician, they would always flat out say no. As soon as I put comedy magician, then when I would reach out to people who are planning comedy events, they would be interested. Because
Yeah.
people in the world of comedy don't know that comedy magician exists. People in the world of magic obviously do. So if
Yeah.
I was just marketing to people who are looking for magic shows all the time, it doesn't really matter. But comedy magician was huge for that. And then also, I wanted people to know immediately that I wasn't the type of guy that would show up and have big illusions and take myself seriously and look at the camera. I'm not this guy, right? I was this guy,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to make sure that I was, promoting myself in the best way possible. The other thing that I've switched to doing now is I market myself as Chris Michael Celebrity Magician. And again, back on that polarizing thing, I believe to a sense now that's got to be true because in terms of my reach with what magicians I know and which circles I'm in and the amount of TV shows I've worked with, I mean, I'm probably more like celebrity than most of the people around within my range of being able to do shows anyway, more than probably any other magician I know around me. But I know that's also a little bit of a stretch because I'm not like an A-lister, B-lister, probably not even, I know for a fact I'm not even a C-lister. So like to say the celebrity magician, a lot of people are obviously going to throw some hate on that, and that's totally fine because what we've learned is, it's always best to be something that people either love or something people hate, and you don't want to
Yeah.
hang out in that middle stage.
Yeah.
So I just went with something that I knew would articulate what I'm going for right now, which is that like modern, upbeat, well-known, a lot of content around this guy. You can, he's out there in the community, he's doing things, he's constantly working, and that's what you imagine a celebrity is doing.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to promote myself as.
Yeah.
And I'm still filling out whether or not that works, but I'll tell you, man, celebrity magician, people tend to think they can Google me a lot easier. Like when I was going by comedy magician, people would be like, hey, you have any videos online? Yeah, look me up.
Yeah.
But now when I say celebrity magician, most of the time people have either A, already seen my material, or B, they know they can easily look it up.
Yeah. I think also too, I would like to get to a point where I don't have to have a designation at all.
Oh, of course, man.
I
Category
would
one,
like
man.
to just be the name. And
Well, think Steve-O,
because here's
man.
the thing, it's like I still see the description as still constantly changing, even for me. Actually don't like mind reader, because you automatically get like, oh, what am I thinking? And I freaking hate that. But
Well,
so I think it even is still for me that was only I only use mind reader because once again a business strategic business decision, and that's the only reason I'll keep it for the corporate market. But I very much plan on, even in the corporate market, getting to a point where it's just
Right.
it's not people introducing. Here's Shane Patrick Cruz, the corporate, mind reader, Shane Patrick Cruz. It's just, here's Shane Patrick Cruz.
Well, you know that
You
I
know
built
what I
that
mean?
into my intro. You know that, right? Where it's just like, this next performer, I never say magician, and then at
Yeah.
the end it says, "Please join me in welcoming Chris Michael." I never give myself that title,
Yeah.
just because I want that name, that branding. But good example, and I mentioned this, but you totally glazed over it. Steve-O. He is Steve-O. He's not a category. Like, yes, okay, he's a comedian and a stunt devil and an
Yeah.
actor and
Yeah.
I'm sure he's made music at some point. You know, a motivational speaker,
Skateboarder.
all these things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you could say Steve-O, and when somebody needs to book Steve-O, they say, well, what do I put on the tickets? And then literally I heard a
Yeah.
commercial for his show, and they said, come out to the Richmond Funny Bone to see comedian and stunt performer Steve-O, and it's like, Steve-O has been on, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, of course, if people haven't heard of him, there needs to be something close by to link to.
True that. Yeah, that
The
makes
other
sense.
thing you could try, this is risky, the other thing you could try is saying, like, I'm just going to make up a performer right now. You could say, Jackie Chan meets, help me out, somebody, Adam Sandler. Jackie Chan meets Adam Sandler. Like, that,
Yeah.
like, you can take two things people already know and put them together, but I think you still will run into the problem of people wondering, what the heck does that, what did you do that? Okay, Shane, I want to get on this podcast right now, your live reaction to that, me switching the title thing, because obviously you're a big part of that decision. I've hired you as part of my moving into the celebrity status thing. That was the whole reason we talked about doing this, is like promoting yourself as a celebrity.
Yeah.
I went to It Factor Live, which is all about building celebrity.
Yeah.
I want to know your reaction to me calling myself celebrity magician. I want to know what your thoughts are.
The first initial thing I think about is when I personally hear celebrity magician, and it may just be because I am a magician. I think that you are a magician that performs for celebrities.
Yeah.
Because when I've heard celebrity magicians in the past, like for instance Dynamo started out as a celebrity magician.
But you are a magician yourself, so maybe
Right.
that's why you know
So
that.
David Blaine started out as a celebrity magician.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that's the first thing I think about. I don't know if the general public thinks like that.
Well, here's the interesting thing: is a lot of high.
And plus, if you're here's the other thing, and I know that these sound like bad things, but I don't mean them that way.
No, go for
like
it.
if you're calling yourself a celebrity, like Brad Pitt doesn't call himself a celebrity actor.
Well, I mean, no, I get that, and that's why I want to get your
So-
reaction to it. One thing that I think I want to mention is the fact that a lot of high executives and high-level officers in companies see themselves as a celebrity, and so I perform for a lot of those guys, and I think that even if it was to say like he performs for celebrities, I think that still speaks to my main clientele.
I think I don't know. I'm not completely. I'm gotta be honest. I'm not completely sold on it. Here's the other thing. I think that you're on to something, but I don't know if celebrity is it, because think about Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is the millionaire's magician.
Right.
So he started calling himself that, or actually Steve Levy is.
What's a grammatical thing, man? I'm not the celebrities magician. I'm the celebrity magician.
The millionaire's magician, because he was performing for millionaires and billionaires.
Right.
So he called himself the millionaire's magician.
Right.
So, and then he changed the way he dressed. He changed the way he performed.
He also had a standing theater show, right? That can help him.
Well, no, he changed to the millionaire's magician first before the theater show.
Well, so hold on, real quick, backing up on this. I think you're right to some degree, and that's totally my reservations with it. Is like, if I have to tell people, like a lion will, they always say, fear people who tell you they're a lion, because a lion will never have to say who he is. You know a lion when you see it.
Yeah.
And I believe in that statement a lot, but yet I'm doing the exact opposite, which is telling people what I am. But I think that for I don't know. People are excited when I email them and it says celebrity magician.
Yeah,
on
I mean, if
people,
it works, it
people are
works.
so excited, man. They're like, oh, like a lot of time, literally, it'll be like I send them an email and just because my tag, they go, oh, hey, Chris, we saw your photo at the top of this email. We think you're a little bit too big for what we're doing. Great, because like I'm not focused on smaller events anyway, because that's not something that a celebrity magician would do. So I'm not focused on doing the smaller. Like I do when I need to, but
Yeah.
does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
people are able to self-select because of that title. I
Yeah.
think.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even then you need to have a title.
And it can change.
It goes back to like, having something to point towards. I mean,
Well, here's
Yeah.
actually something interesting. I'm coming up with this right now. You kind of consume your titles to a point where you don't need to say them anymore. I needed to say comedy magician because people didn't know that's what I do. Now, with any quick Google search or if you say Chris Michael, immediately people already know, okay, comedy magician. So I don't need to put that in my title anymore. Boom. Now I want people to know that I'm a high status performer. So I now say celebrity magician. I'm sure at a certain point, boom, that one gets knocked off because that just goes hand in hand with Chris Michael. So then I'll have another one. Like maybe I'll be the SpaceX Tesla lead generation specialist, Chris Michael.
you could be Elon's favorite magician.
What about when I performed for Lockheed Martin and Birmingham Tech? They're not gonna like that. Remember we were at Birmingham
that's
Tech and they were
true,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, Elon's kind of a
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Elon. But I mean, or what's the magician that you showed me his website and he's like my mom's favorite magician, or he's like
That's my website, man.
wow.
Oh, that's
that's-
Magic Mike, but not the Magic Mike that you know. I can't remember his last name.
And doesn't he say that? My mom's favorite magician.
I don't know. New York City. No, he doesn't say that. That's me.
Oh, okay.
That's me, man.
I know you say that in your opening, but
He says it's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
That's super funny. Anyways, yeah. So figure out what area you're performing in, and think about what you want to call yourself. What do you call yourself? Let us know what you call yourself.
Do something that feels good. If it feels bad, don't call yourself that. It feels good to walk into my house at home, even with my little brothers, and them to know that here's Chris Michael, the celebrity magician. It feels good personally. It feels good in a business way. I felt good when I was doing comedy magician. Now it doesn't feel so good anymore. So, again, even in the last podcast that we put out about knowing what your market is, a lot of it is gut feeling. Say what you want to say, not what you think you should say. If you're trying to follow the rules, don't follow them. People don't like rule followers. They like people who are unique. Go with your gut feeling. What do you want to call yourself? And don't care what other people think about it. Just go for it. How does it make you feel?
I pretty much agree with that.
About
It should be a good. You should actually think about it from a business standpoint too.
Dang. I was trying to sign off before that sneeze and I couldn't get it in. But
It's all good, man. Real here, mad real.
I think part of my brain fell in like a couple inches and just seeing a little things are blurry now.
All right. So anything else on that?
Nah, man. That's it. I don't want to open another can of worms.
Which is, do you have a can to open?
No, but I know I will if we go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they are setting up the bar. They're getting ready to, I guess, have happy hour here.
Oh, heck yeah.
Dude, this drink sounds so delicious right here. This Jungle Cat Cosmo.
I want my freaking car back. That's what I want.
Anyways,
It's in the shop right now, and I want it back.
problems. So he's driving his Ghibli now.
My Ghibli, my Maserati.
His-
Hey, it's a Mazda. I just got the body. It's a Maserati, but I made it look like a Mazda so nobody steals it because I have to park it in the city. So. I just have a 2-hour drive tomorrow, and I would love to not drive and let my Tesla drive it, but it's in the shop because it's been flooded with water, and it's probably more of a responsible decision to just drive myself in my Mazda. I mean, Maserati.
Anyways, for us regular people out here that are still stuck in the Stone Age.
Hey,
Trikes.
Elon. Answer my email.
All right, that's it. See ya.
Bye.